Alrighty, I am back. So now what I wanted to do was see how an S-400 would do against F-35s. So far to this point, we know how the S-400 had done against high-flying aircraft. Was pretty dangerous and very costly towards any strike package flying high. Flying low and trying to fire its standoff, it would protect the target pretty well also. So if we put an S-400 back in Syria, put the radars on, then put some shorter range SAMs forming a perimeter around the airbase, SA-22s. And then let's put in our SA-21. Since we've been doing the 12 tells, we'll continue with that. Cyprus has an RAF base that I know U.S. forces can use. What's it called? Acrotory? Let's see. Cyprus. A-K-R-O-T-I-R-I. Acrotiri, maybe? It's definitely within S-400 range, though, because it's about here. So, in the event that you were taking off from this airbase, I would say that would make it extremely dangerous for cargo aircraft to take off and land. I would say you probably wouldn't want to take off something big like an AWACS or a bomber from there even, because it's well within the range. So if things went hostile and Russia still has their S-400 battery here, you would not want to use these air bases for anything that wasn't a fighter flying low. And even then, we didn't lose any aircraft in the last one, but I have a feeling if we were going over terrain, like coming in like this, coming up and popping up and shooting, you'd lose aircraft really quick. Which maybe I can actually try that in this scenario as well. So that's the main reason I've been putting a carrier in. This whole thing started with just me theorizing with some of my friends, basically saying, well, if this war with if this proxy war gets out of hand, you know, it's going to get really dangerous and really messy really fast because everything's in range of everything. Anyway, hopefully we don't have World War III. It'd be quite messy for everyone. Alright, so we'll give ourselves the EA 18G Growlers, but we're also going to give ourselves a squadron of F-35Cs. Now, the Navy is probably not going to have more than a squadron of F-35Cs per carrier in the next 10 years. It would actually surprise me. If I had to guess, they would probably cycle air wings with F-35Cs to combat zones if they were asking them to go up against lethal threats like this, but even then, that's just pure speculation. I don't think the Navy has very many of them just yet. And so far, the anti-radiation missiles I've been using are not really one of the ways that an F-35 is able to kill SAM systems. So if we look at their radars and everything, uh, you know, their anti-air radar is great and has a bunch of ways it integrates with everything else. But what really stands out is their I believe this is it, their cameras that are on board, 60 nautical miles, and then this infrared search and track, 100 miles. Basically, these sensors help them track targets that you just wouldn't see with the naked eye. I mean, so if I took off, oh, right, you need to arm them. So I'm just going to take a standard cap of 2 fighters and nothing special here. I guess I'll set the AWACS patrol as well. But all I want to do is see how close I can get. But as I was saying, these guys can't fire harm missiles. They do have standoff weapons in the ways of glide bombs that can come out of their bomb bays, which have a range of 45 miles for the JSOW, which is basically a 1,000-pound bomb with wings on it. So it glides in. Unfortunately, since the glide bomb, it needs to be dropped at a high altitude. And there's also the small diameter bomb, which is basically a 250-pound bomb that is made to track vehicles or mobile stuff. I mean, I would say it could be used in the seed role because an F-35 can carry 8 of them, but they're still slow-moving glide bombs that are going to be easy to shoot down. That being said, 8 of them per sortie is going to need to have a lot of missiles to stop them. And at least in this game, they do have a penetrator warhead. So, since I know it's not going to be able to have a chance of detecting anything until about here, I'm going to slow down once it gets close. Alright, so we are about 104 miles from the airbase. Let's just make sure our radar is in fact on. It is not yet. Let's do that. Oh, it is on. My bad. Actually, let's turn all the radars on. I mean, maybe more radars would help. Oops, I did not mean to do that. So I think it must have wandered into SAM range. I must have hit spacebar too many times. Oops. Alright, well, we'll give it its missiles back and we'll do that better next time. My bad. Oops. So I'll start them off here, because I don't want to wait again. So important ranges to remember. I'm going to make a reference point for them. 60 miles would mean they could shoot a small diameter bomb without being shot at back, and 45 miles for a JSOW, which is much larger and meaner. Just making sure, yep, all these radars are in fact on. Now I believe small diameter bombs can be carried by the Super Hornets as well. And in real life, if they haven't been modified yet, they will be soon. Oh wow, they're getting a lot closer than I thought they would. So it looks like they're able to get within 35 miles, and they're not able to be detected there. Oh, there they go. So looks like they're identified around 30 miles out. I mean, these are powerful radars, so I could see them detecting stealth aircraft. Of course, we'll never know how far out they could really, truly detect stealth aircraft in real life, but the game's model sounds plausible to me. Did these guys dive? Yes, they did. They're still in deep doo-doo. Oh. And one aircraft destroyed, it looks like. The other one has no chance of escaping. Or does it? Just try escaping at this point. Go low. See what happens. And military. That didn't seem to work. Alright, so let's put those 60 PACFA fighters back at this airbase. Su-57, remember correctly, it holds 60. And let's just replace this. It's a little quicker than having to reload everything. So these 8 lightnings here, probably the extent of what a carrier would have ready for one strike at any time. I mean, even in the near future, it seems that the Navy is going to have a lot more to do with Super Hornets, so. And 8 stealth fighters is a pretty high number. I believe this would give 64 small diameter bombs, though. I would be interested to see what this setup could repel if they just drop them all off over the horizon and run away. Now we should keep in mind, of course, a lot of these are going to be targeting runways and buildings that an SDB is a little bit small to be dealing with. That being said, I am kind of curious. So I'm looking more at how many bombs get through than I am how many aircraft get taken out. Now, of course, these bombs probably would glide down over the course of 10 minutes. That probably would be time to scramble aircraft. So these S-400s are going all out. But they have a finite amount of missiles. I actually don't know if a human commander would decide to shoot off that many S-400s live bombs. They may just try to evacuate the area. These bombs are going to drop like flies. Oh, so that was some 37 aircraft taken out. Have I played any of the new DLC for this game? Yes, I have. I haven't completed any of the campaigns. I actually plan on streaming some of those at some point, though. So it looks like I'm sorry, the US sees the SAMs. Now, the radars were on before, to be fair. Uh, the launchers, though, it was really hard for them to detect. So I'm going to move the launcher out of this area. Let's see if we can actually have a strike with a stealth aircraft to come in over the launcher, which is going to have its radar off, and actually just target something else completely. So let's just make a communications hub here as their target. What I really want to see is if a F-35 is coming in this way, will they be able to detect this SA-21 before it's too late? Yeah, Jewel Rip's Silent Service is coming out, I believe, March 1st. So if you're interested in any of that, I would definitely buy that. Submarine warfare should be interesting. It's not my forte, but it's always good to learn that kind of stuff. It's always an interesting cat-mouse dynamic there. So I'm going to put a radar here on the high ground. Turn that on. Oh, right. We don't have any more of those aircraft. They're all returning to base. Let's return them, and there we go. So we know the radar's there on the high ground. The AWACS can't get the exact location, but we know we need to take out this communications hub. So I'm going to arm all of these with JSOWs, internal only, and launch them. So now these guys might just acting like they're stealthy and nothing's going on, might just stumble across this S-400. So they see the radar. I mean, probably wouldn't go this way anymore, but it's more of a question of when are they going to see the battery itself, and will they at all? Wow, they're able to. Now that these are firing, do they even know anything now? No? Wow. Now I'm sure these 16 missiles or whatever are gonna all get shot down before they get close. But let's change the Russian side here just a little bit. So we're gonna make this very heavily guarded here. Going to put a launcher here and a launcher here. Let's try flying low. Let's try using jamming aircraft. Let's see what we can do. Going to arm half of these aircraft with some small diameter bombs. And I'm going to also put in some E3 growlers into this formation. Just curious how this is going to go. Probably not well. So this is 4 F-16C, or sorry, F-35C Lightnings. This next group, yeah, I was hoping that you could do them together like that, but you can't, unfortunately. Now, I know fuel is going to be an issue for this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just transport them. We're going to use the terrain to try to fly in low straight through this valley to avoid air defenses that don't exist in this area. See if that's a possibility here. So Russia probably sees these. No, they don't yet. All right. Well, time to turn on radars and jammers. I believe this is the first time I'm going to actually try out these aircraft with offensive ECM as well. So when they fly in low, my only concern is that they're not going to be able to shoot when they need to. So let's fly them in low as well. Actually, I'm going to move this just a little bit further back, just so it can see things coming that way. So here we have our SEAD patrol, our electronic warfare support, and our strike package. Our goal is to fire off all of our ordnance and get out. And we know that this big scary S-400 is here. And because this radar is on the other side, I'm going to turn on the radar here. Now notice how this is not yet being jammed, of course, because these aircraft are not even within line of sight yet. However, I believe if I went high, this would start getting jammed. What I do want to do is get these aircraft to the same area at around the same time, get them a little bit closer and tighter together. I'm not going to, yeah, I'm going to put these guys just slightly behind, like here. The reason for me doing this, of course, is to have these guys all in roughly a tight formation. I mean, it's bad for when one's targeted, they'll all be targeted, but at the same time, the jammer will be straight down the same axes, I'm thinking. So, I think that's a little bit better there. So as before, we're going to ingress in towards the target. Towards the target, the exact same route, just slightly behind them, and same thing here. And we are not jamming them yet. So since we already know what these guys want, we're going to have them attack. They're not in range yet, so that's not an issue. I'm pretty sure they're going to need to pop up for firing those because minimum launch is 10,000 feet. Although they can get up 10,000 feet pretty damn quick. People who say the F-35 is not maneuverable, well, I don't know, but I do know it can climb. It does have a pretty damn powerful engine. And if it needs to climb, it'll climb. So has Russia detected anything yet? No. And they're now being jammed. And US forces have detected their mobile radar. And they now know what it is, so at this point they would want to fire all of their weapons at it. But it looks like they need to climb for that. Well, that's something I just don't want to do. Now, lucky for us, Russia has lost contact, but I believe over the horizon. Yep, I believe they're over the horizon now, so Russia should be detecting them any second now. Though I do want to say they need to climb and they're not going to release their bombs, so I'm going to initiate that real quick. Fire the bombs, drop right back down immediately. It's not good. Second they hit 10,000 feet. They need to drop those bombs right now. More of them. What does Russia see? They see gibberish. Yeah, whoa, whoa, whoa. Minimum altitude right this second. Have them go out the way they came. I think the writing's on the wall for this SA-21. Oh, stop it. So now these guys do need to fly up a little bit higher to drop their glide bombs. And now is the best time to do it with this target suppressed. I wish they didn't override the way I told them to go. As soon as they get to 10,000 feet, they should fire. Oh, and I think that anybody sane would take out this radar too. What are these guys doing? I did not tell them to go this way. That is one of the things, though, with command jewel rips, is the fact that a lot of units like to think for themselves when you don't want them to, almost. These guys, again, minimum altitude. Order them to extract. They're, like, right now they're engaged defensive, but I know for a fact the Russian stuff is not able to even see them, let alone get a lock on them. And the only reason these guys were even here is because they ignored what I said. Now Russia, I'm surprised, doesn't see these guys. So I think if I had turned off automatic evasion, that would have never happened. They would have followed the route they're supposed to follow, and the missiles wouldn't have been heading towards them anyway. But it seems that all logic seeps out of their brains when it says engage defensive. But from this point on, there's really no reason that all of these aircraft wouldn't be able to just get out of this area. They could even start going high now and saving fuel. So overall, I would say the S-400 is a very good missile system. Definitely long range, but you know, with stealth aircraft coming in at angles, even if they don't know where they are, with stealth aircraft and jamming, they're pretty potent weapons. Now, one thing I was curious about was, just delete these reference, or actually I'll leave them in place because we know exactly where things would be based on them. So let's put this S-400 back. So this scenario, I'm not going to even shoot anything at them, but I am curious what they see if just MALD start coming in on them. So if we add a dozen Super Hornets, that should be 48 MALD. Which, if I did not, I mean, I think if we had to attack S-400 batteries. I think that MALD would probably be one of the best things to shoot at them, because if they, I mean, they'll see them coming and they'll probably waste missiles on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire a bunch of MALD away, and if it looks like they're easy to identify, I will not shoot because we know what they are. However, if they are not identified as MALD and I see them and don't know what they are, I would shoot, because you wouldn't be able to tell if it was the main attack or not. Let's see here. Yeah, I want to change the way these MALD are flying. Did I just make it worse? I'm not really sure. What I want to do is, it looks like I just split off a few of them. Doesn't really matter. If there is an attack group of 48 aircraft, I doubt they're going to fly in the same spot and hit the exact same target. I thought I had the radar on. Shit. Well, let's redo this experiment. My bad. Set time to ready to 0 and launch. So we know that's there. We know they've got 80 missiles. So we're going to fire a ton of decoys at them, just like last time. Alright, here they go. So they see a ton, or they saw a ton of aircraft. Have a good one, Joe Rips. And you can check out my stuff on YouTube as well. I'll be uploading it there. Wow, so countermeasures could really conceal these aircraft until, yeah. I could imagine at this range a jammed sensor saying, we're going to shoot all these down, we cannot tell what they are. We don't see any emissions, and we're going to shoot. So shoot away. And I will order the S-400 to stop shooting. when I realize what they are. At this point, I would think that there's no way that the enemy would be willing to sacrifice everything by flying in a straight line like this towards them, but I'm sure that if these mauled aircraft were accompanied by actual aircraft firing back, that it would still be hard to determine what is what, and simply shooting would be the only thing they could do. Because no doubt there would be actual aircraft intertwined with these mauled decoys. You wouldn't just fire the decoys. And I think that this S-400 battery should get out of there. But I'm going to go with MALD is probably capable of suppressing the S-400. Fire enough aluminum chaff and you'll disrupt radar. I think I need to be in editor mode for that. Alrighty, so I think that'll do it for tonight. This was fun, and I will see you next time. Maybe I'll do some sort of a playthrough or something like that of one of the scenarios.